Welcome back to Recap Machine. Today, we will explore a drama, fantasy, and horror film called Tamara. Hope you guys enjoy. One morning, a beautiful student named Tamara Riley goes to class to give her handsome teacher, Mr. Natoli, a book. Mr. Natoli then kisses Tamara and makes out with her on the table, telling her he loves her. However, Tamara begs Mr. Natoli to stop when she notices that her schoolmates are watching them from the door. She also pushes him back, and when Tamara sees her reflection in the mirror, she realizes how unattractive she is. At the same time, there are now other students in the classroom, and Mr. Natoli tells Tamara he could never love her in front of them. Sadly, everyone makes fun of Tamara, but it turns out that it's only a dream. Mr. Natoli wakes Tamara up when he sees her napping in his class, asking if she's okay. So the girl shyly nods her head. As Mr. Natoli continues his lecture, Tamara reads a passage from her witchcraft book about summoning great strength to face all adversity. She's startled when her classmate, Patrick, uses a straw to spit a small piece of paper on her hair, making her drop her stuff. Then, Patrick picks up Tamara's witchcraft book and reads it to embarrass her. But Mr. Natoli takes it from him and tells him to sit. Mr. Natoli returns the book to Tamara just as the bell rings, and before the girl leaves, he tells her he's got some great news for her. Mr. Natoli gives his star pupil the article she wrote, which has been published in the school paper. He also tells her she's impressed him with her intelligence and passion, but Tamara doesn't even look happy. In the locker room, Kaisha throws her towel at Tamara for writing the article about the athletes. Then a nice girl, Chloe, defends Tamara, sending Kaisha and her friends away before comforting the poor girl. Afterward, the school athletes, Patrick and Sean, chase Tamara to get back at her for writing an offensive article about them. But Tamara goes into Mr. Natoli's classroom, forcing Patrick and Sean to quickly leave. At the same time, Tamara stops the teacher from talking to the athletes. So Mr. Natoli says it's not her fault that it was revealed that some of the boys were using substances. He tells Tamara that the administration is responsible for it, reminding her she can always come to him if someone bothers her. Mr. Natoli also apologizes to Tamara for submitting her article to the school paper, but Tamara is worried, since she's made many people mad. She adds that nobody liked her before, and things will now get worse for her, but Mr. Natoli says that's not true. Then, Mr. Natoli gives Tamara his handkerchief and continues to comfort her, unaware that Kaisha is listening to their conversation by the door. Sad to say, Tamara ruins the moment by trying to kiss Mr. Natoli. Of course, the teacher quickly pulls away, and as Kaisha proceeds to spy on them, Tamara realizes she made a mistake. Humiliated, Tamara leaves even though Mr. Natoli tries to stop her, and they both don't know that Kaisha was just there. Moments later, Patrick and Sean confront Tamara as she gets her necklace from her locker. Patrick then reads one line from their paper that states the athletes are using performance-enhancing substances, but Tamara just stays quiet. So Sean tells her she's going down. After that, Sean tells Patrick and Kaisha that the coach benched him because he wouldn't take the test. Kaisha is Sean's girlfriend, which explains why she's pissed at Tamara. Also, Sean is angry that he won't be able to play next month when the scouts come, and Kaisha feels sorry for him. Meanwhile, Tamara heads home, where her uncaring father, Mr. Riley, orders her to clean. But despite that, Tamara just ignores him and goes to her room. Back at school, Kaisha shares with Patrick and Sean that Mr. Natoli rejected Tamara when she tried to kiss him, giving Sean an idea of how to teach Tamara a lesson. Sean then approaches a guy named Roger, inviting him to a party the next day. As they talk, another student, Jesse, hears them and introduces himself. So, Sean invites him to the party too, and Jesse says he'll take his girlfriend Chloe with him. But before Roger leaves, Sean asks him if he still works at the AV Center. At the same time, Mr. Natoli meets with the guidance counselor, Allison, who also happens to be his wife. He reveals to Allison that Tamara has a crush on him, but he assures her that Tamara won't be a problem. Then Allison says she might be pregnant, making Mr. Natoli excited. At home, Mr. Riley makes fun of his miserable daughter, telling Tamara that her magic stuff won't make her feel better before leaving. Feeling desperate, Tamara prepares for a ritual that will make Mr. Natoli love her. Tamara places candles on the magic circle in her room and sits in the middle, making sure she doesn't forget the other things she needs in her spell book. After lighting the other candles, Tamara places Mr. Natoli's handkerchief in the middle of the tray and puts a lock of her hair on it. She then pours wax on the handkerchief and hair, and she recites the spell for the love-binding ritual. She asks the ancients to bind her fate to Mr. Natoli, also requesting to grant her the power to sway others to do her bidding. In exchange for those, Tamara offers up her heart and soul, and she gets ready to spill her blood. However, Tamara suddenly changes her mind and stops the ritual. The next day Mr. Natoli calls Tamara and tells her he likes her. Mr. Natoli asks Tamara to meet him at 9:30 p.m. at the Capri Motel, room 39, and although Tamara is hesitant, she eventually agrees. She thinks that her spell worked. But as it turns out, Tamara just talked to Sean, who impersonated the teacher. That night, Sean instructs Patrick to get 2 rooms for them at the Capri Motel. Roger wonders why they need 2 rooms, but Sean just asks for his help unloading the video gear. Concurrently, Tamara tears the love-binding ritual page from her spell book and kisses it. After a while, Jesse and Chloe arrive at the Capri Motel. Sean is fixing the video gear and TV, and Jesse can't wait to join them in drinking. Then Kaisha gives Chloe a glass of wine as she apologizes for what happened in the locker room. It isn't long before Sean checks his phone and goes to the other room, where he sets up a hidden camera and puts some flowers on the bed. When Tamara shows up at the motel, she hears the water running in the bathroom and assumes Mr. Natoli is there. She also sees the note that Sean left for her, thinking it's from her teacher. In the other room, the others start watching TV, which shows Tamara in room 39. Roger, Jesse, and Chloe are unaware that the girl is Tamara, and Patrick tells them it's just some late-night entertainment. Everyone in the other room continues to watch as Tamara takes her clothes off and relaxes on the bed. Then, Sean stands by the bathroom door and asks Tamara to say she loves him, and Tamara does as she's told since she thinks she's talking to Mr. Natoli. At that moment, Sean comes out of the bathroom and turns on the light, revealing to Tamara that he's been recording her. Sadly, Jesse, Roger, and Chloe finally realize that they're watching Tamara, who's being humiliated by Sean. Tamara quickly dresses, but Sean continues to make fun of her. Then Tamara leaves and hears Chloe calling her, thinking she's helping Sean. Feeling betrayed, Tamara attacks Chloe in the other room, so Jesse tries to stop her, but she just pushes him back. Of course, Sean continues to record everything, and he eventually helps Patrick to subdue Tamara. But Tamara suddenly bites Patrick, making him push her and hit her head on the table. Unfortunately, Tamara dies, leaving everyone in disbelief. Because of that, Sean warns everyone not to say a word about Tamara's death. He also intends to put the blame on Chloe and Jesse, since they struggled with Tamara, saying he'll tell the cops they set the whole thing up. Sean is confident that the authorities will believe him, and to make things worse, Jesse says the cops will find his skin and Chloe's under Tamara's nails, since she scratched them. At the same time, Sean reminds Chloe that he has a videotape to back up his story, forcing her to keep her mouth shut. Afterward, they bury Tamara's body in the woods. Then, she suddenly disappears from the grave, but she soon shows up and rips Sean's throat. As everyone runs, Tamara attacks Patrick next and breaks his neck. Chloe can only watch as Patrick dies, but she soon wakes up and realizes she just had a nightmare. Chloe also notices the bruise she got from Tamara, crying as she thinks about what happened. At school, Chloe asks Mr. Natoli if she can go to the ladies' room. However, she doesn't expect Tamara to show up looking beautiful and well. It's also noticeable that Tamara's personality has changed as she takes a seat, for she is now fearless and uncaring. Then, Tamara asks Jesse if something's wrong, but the guy can't even look at her. The students leave once the class is over, but Tamara stays behind to apologize to Mr. Natoli for trying to kiss him. She also assures the teacher she's okay now, adding that she's perfect. In another room, Chloe and the others inform Kaisha that Tamara is alive. Kaisha suggests apologizing to Tamara, but Sean just wants to make sure the girl will keep quiet. They just can't understand how Tamara survived since they were sure she was dead. So Patrick starts thinking she really is a witch. Naturally, Sean dismisses that idea and believes they buried her alive. Meanwhile, the video of Tamara's death suddenly plays at the AF center where Roger works. Roger tries to destroy all the tapes, but the video continues playing on several monitors. Then, Tamara suddenly shows up, telling Roger how it feels like to be buried. Tamara says she clawed at the ground until her hands were bloody and raw, and just like that, Roger realizes his hands are bleeding. She also says she couldn't scream because her mouth was filled with dirt. making Roger spit filth. At the same time, worms start eating at Roger's flesh, but as it turns out, he's only hallucinating. Tamara made Roger feel what she felt when they buried her, and she insults him for being too scared to stand up. Tamara also mocks Roger for trying to take his own life before, telling him he doesn't have the guts to finish what he started. Later on, a video of Roger starts playing in different classrooms. Roger confesses he's done something horrible, saying he wants to make things right. As Roger speaks, it is revealed that Tamara is controlling him. She makes him tell everyone to always stand up for what's right, before making him cut off his ear and tongue with a box cutter. Mr. Natoli desperately tries to stop Roger from outside the recording room, but the student eventually stabs his eye. Sadly, despite breaking the glass window to get inside the recording room, Mr. Natoli gets to Roger a little too late. After class, everyone involved in Tamara's accident discusses why Roger killed himself. Then, Tamara shows up and thanks them for turning her into a confident girl. Chloe and the others try to explain themselves, but Chloe makes it clear she regrets what happened to Tamara. Unfortunately, Tamara doesn't tell them what she really wants and just walks away, leaving them worried. Afterward, they go to Tamara's grave in the woods to find out how Tamara survived. Chloe realizes that Tamara dug herself out, and she gets scared when she sees a vision of Tamara's corpse getting up. So, Jesse assures her it's okay. But when Chloe finds the torn page from Tamara's spellbook, it dawns on her that they're missing something. That night, Mr. Natoli finds Tamara in his house. Tamara says she needs someone to talk to, but when the teacher says Allison is at school, Tamara insists she'll wait. Tamara also tries using her charm on Mr. Natoli, asking him if he likes her new look. Sad to say, Mr. Natoli admits he liked Tamara the way she was, so Tamara says she's changed before kissing him. Seconds later, Mr. Natoli asks Tamara to stop and says he loves Allison. Although she's slightly disappointed, Tamara does as she's told and leaves, knowing that Mr. Natoli will soon be hers. The following day, Tamara speaks with Allison, who wants to know how she's doing. Tamara then starts talking about how she doesn't want to end up in her 30s with a husband who's not satisfied with her, making Allison uncomfortable. Because of that, Allison politely ends their session. But before Tamara leaves, she tells Allison she'll never give Mr. Natoli children. Upset, Allison talks to her husband and thinks he told Tamara they've had trouble conceiving. Of course, Mr. Natoli denies that, unaware that Tamara is listening outside his classroom. Sadly, Allison doesn't believe him and just leaves. Meanwhile, Patrick gives out flyers in the cafeteria for his house party. Then, Mr. Natoli calls Tamara to his classroom to find out what she said to Allison, but Tamara just tells him to forget his wife, adding that she can give him anything he wants. Unfortunately, Mr. Natoli's had enough and wants Tamara to leave him alone. At the same time, Chloe sees Tamara exit Mr. Natoli's classroom. In the evening, Allison informs Mr. Natoli that she's not pregnant. On the other hand, Tamara realizes that her alcoholic father thinks of being with her. After touching Mr. Riley, Tamara discovers that her mother left because of his alcohol problems, so she makes him finish his bottle of beer by eating it. At Patrick's house, Patrick gives his special mix to two girls, but his mood suddenly changes when he sees Tamara outside, quickly telling her she's not invited to his party. However, Tamara touches Patrick and shows him what he did at the motel, making him suddenly interested in her. Now that Patrick's under her spell, Tamara orders him to get her a drink. Upon seeing that, Sean and the others immediately realize something's wrong with Patrick. Chloe then takes out the torn page from Tamara's spellbook, saying that spell has something to do with how Tamara's changed. After that, Kaisha and Chloe go to the bathroom, and Sean and Jesse see Tamara dancing with Patrick. Enraged, Sean confronts Tamara, but the girl also touches his face and shows him what happened at the motel. Sean is now under Tamara's spell too, and Tamara enjoys dancing with him and Patrick. Jesse can only watch as Tamara controls the two athletes, but it isn't long before she takes them to a bedroom. There, Tamara makes out with Sean and Patrick, also revealing that Sean likes taking girls to motels and violating them. Then, Tamara orders Sean to force himself on his friend, wanting Patrick to feel helpless. Downstairs, Jesse tells Chloe and Kaisha where Sean and Patrick are. When Kaisha enters the bedroom to confront her boyfriend, the door suddenly closes. Also, she finds Sean in bed with Patrick, and when she asks Tamara to leave them alone, the girl touches her face. Just like the athletes, Kaisha sees the incident at the motel, which puts her under Tamara's spell. Tamara then unbuttons Kaisha's blouse and mentions how she'd starve herself just to stay thin, making Kaisha force herself to throw up. Eventually, Kaisha starts throwing up blood, but that's not enough for Tamara, so she tells Kaisha to eat more since she's skin and bones. With no other choice, Kaisha goes downstairs and eats all the food she sees. Luckily, Jesse and Chloe are there to stop her. And as they leave, Chloe decides to call Mr. Natoli. Moments later, Kaisha calls Sean's phone, which Tamara answers. Kaisha informs Tamara they're meeting Mr. Natoli and telling him the truth. So Jesse grabs the phone from her before Chloe knocks her out. At the same time, they realize that Kaisha's been eating her fingers. At Patrick's house, Tamara instructs the athletes to get dressed. She's unaware that Mr. Natoli's already with Chloe and the others, and the teacher wants to take Kaisha to the hospital. Chloe has already explained the situation to Mr. Natoli and told him the truth, but the guy finds it hard to believe that Tamara is into witchcraft. However, since they're already running out of time to stop Tamara, they decide to talk to Mr. Riley at home. Unfortunately, they find a dying Mr. Riley sitting by the refrigerator, his mouth bleeding from the bottles he ate. The shards of glass are already sticking out from his throat, but he eventually dies under Tamara's spell. The athletes go to the Natoli residence to kill Allison. The woman hears them breaking in and tries calling for help, but she realizes the phone isn't working. Then Allison grabs a letter opener and bravely goes downstairs to investigate. The trio goes to Tamara's room, where Mr. Natoli finds his handkerchief and Tamara's spell book. Chloe puts the torn paper back in place, and it magically attaches itself to the book. They also read the love binding ritual, realizing that it was completed when Tamara hit her head, which caused her blood to spill. The spell brought Tamara back from the dead, and Chloe points out that Tamara's bound her fate to Mr. Natoli. Upon hearing that, the teacher quickly tries calling Allison, and when he can't reach her, he quickly leaves with the students. Of course, Chloe takes the spell book with her. Despite being scared, Allison walks around the house to see who's there. Then Allison avoids being stabbed by Sean as she tries using the other phone, pushing him before attempting to flee. Sad to say, the athletes have locked the door, forcing Allison to look for another way out until she gets cornered in the kitchen. Allison uses a pepper grinder to knock Sean out before going to the basement and locking herself there, but she accidentally steps on broken glass as she tries to escape through a small window. Seconds later, Patrick breaks the basement door, so Allison quickly hides. Unfortunately, Sean blocks Allison when she attempts to return upstairs, but that doesn't stop Allison from arming herself with a golf club. Allison swings the club with all her might, aiming to hit Patrick, only to be subdued by the athlete. Patrick eagerly strangles Allison to finally finish their task, but Allison grabs a screwdriver and stabs him in the neck, killing him. Then Allison takes a shovel to defend herself from Sean, but she accidentally breaks it when she hits a pipe. Enraged, Sean tries to attack Allison, so Allison uses the broken shovel handle to stab him. Allison then quickly heads upstairs, where she finds two police officers who were called by Mr. Natoli. One of them goes to the basement to check the situation, while Allison breaks down in front of the other. Meanwhile, Mr. Natoli and the students arrive at the hospital. After taking Kaisha to the emergency room, Mr. Natoli asks the receptionist where Allison's room is. Allison was taken there after the incident at their house, and as Mr. Natoli goes to his wife's room, an officer stops Chloe and Jesse from coming with him. Concurrently, Tamara controls a cop at the Natoli residence and asks where Allison is. Afterward, Mr. Natoli finally reunites with his wife and explains the situation to her. Then, Tamara shows up at the hospital, and when Mr. Natoli hears the officer guarding Allison's room talking to someone, he checks what's going on. Mr. Natoli sees Tamara controlling the officer, so he flees with Allison. At the same time, Kaisha, who's still under Tamara's spell, attacks Chloe and Jesse with a scalpel. Jesse and Chloe hide in the cafeteria kitchen, and after arming themselves with a meat tenderizer and a pan, the two decide to hide. Kaisha then takes a knife and looks for the two, only to be disarmed by Chloe when she tries to stab her. Despite that, Kaisha still manages to subdue Chloe and repeatedly hits her, so Jesse gets her attention and leads her away. With a tray, Kaisha mercilessly comes at Jesse and eventually hits him in the face. After that, Kaisha tries shoving Jesse's head into a container with boiling oil, but when she struggles to push him, she just repeatedly stabs him. Then Chloe shows up and knocks Kaisha out before leaving the kitchen with Jesse. Sadly, Jesse collapses in the hallway and dies. As Allison and Mr. Natoli try to escape, they end up heading to the rooftop. Tamara and the cop are still on their tails, and Chloe takes a fire axe as she follows the bloody footprints to the rooftop. Seconds later, Tamara and the cop catch up to Mr. Natoli and Allison. Tamara makes the cop shoot Allison, But before the officer can fire his gun, Chloe arrives and strikes Tamara with the axe. Unfortunately, Tamara easily takes the axe from her back and heals her wound before hitting Chloe. Then she touches Chloe's face, but Tamara sees her heart is pure. Mr. Natoli also begs Tamara to stop, and when Tamara realizes what she's done, she slowly turns back into a corpse. Despite that, Tamara refuses to accept she's lost and returns to being a beautiful girl again, saying their fates are bound together for as long as Mr. Natoli lives. Because of that, it dawns on Mr. Natoli that he must make a sacrifice. So he tells Allison he loves her one last time before kissing Tamara. Then, Mr. Natoli grabs Tamara and jumps off the rooftop, dying with the girl who used to be a kind person. Later on, Allison and Chloe receive medical treatment as the cops arrive at the crime scene, unaware that Kaisha has taken Tamara's spellbook from the Jeep. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Also, what did you think of this film? Let me know in the comments below along with a movie you want to see recapped.